What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Come with me if you want to live.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
The Force will be with you, always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 20th Century Geek. I'm your regular host, Scott Weatherly, and what we're doing today. I've completely lost the plot on this one. We're going back to what we've done before. I've got returning people. This is Now That's What I Call. Christ Almighty, I know what I'm doing. This is Now That's What I Call, and this is going to be the Expendabelles. We're returning to female action heroes, and just like modern Hollywood, we have 3 white guys and a woman casting a full female cast, because that's how we do things on this podcast, apparently. So I'm going to run around. I've got 3 fantastic guests joining me, and I'm going to go from who's joined first. So first, Tony Farina. Great, Tony Farina. How are you doing, Tony? You okay?
I'm very well. As I said before we hit recording, my wife and I have been talking about this incessantly for the past few days, so I'm very excited. She's not a big action movie fan, but she knows enough to know. So she's like, ooh, what about this? What about this? So I'm very excited to hear the final list. This is
so she knows enough, but now she knows more. You've educated.
She'll know more when this is over, and she'll be like, okay, can we be done talking about that?
Excellent.
Isn't that why you were on that show? So I didn't have to hear you
We're
talk
done.
about it.
Draw a line. We're done.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me here, my friend.
Okay. Next guest, another regular who's come on before. Jack, how are you doing? You okay?
I'm great, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about this conversation. I haven't been bouncing off anybody because Emma wasn't that interested, sadly. She gave me a lot of suggestions yesterday, to be fair. I was like, well, what do you think? And then for about 5 minutes, it would go quiet for 30 seconds. Oh, but there's this person. Oh, so and then she ebbed away. Then she was done. But I think it's probably about 10 years ago when this idea of this project was first announced, wasn't it? The Expendabelles.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I shared it with you guys. I put out around that time. I was like, oh, who would my Dreamcast be? So it is something that's been in the back of my mind for a good decade. And there's a few people, there's a few people that have stayed on the list, but there's been quite a few. Pressed F5.
Excellent. And last but by no means least, our very own Expendabelle. She's coming back to talk about action heroes. Ria, how are you doing? You okay?
Hello, I am good, thank you. I have not been bouncing this off anybody for 2 reasons. One, my other half, he does not care for action films, although we have recently been watching a lot of Nicolas Cage's back catalogue, which he's been thoroughly enjoying, so that is fantastic. But also, just as soon as we talked about this project, I knew absolutely who was on my list. I was like, yeah, I've got my 6 people, bam, done. And so today I actually wrote them down, and now I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. Well, there are rules to this. We have to play by the rules. We've already talked about it. So I will run through
this
the
is
rules.
when I find out none of mine are in the rules.
Yeah. No, it's no rules in the sense of it's basically we did use, or I sort of used the Expendables as the template. So the idea, ladies and gentlemen, we went off and we formed our teams. We have a leader and 5 other members. That's a 6-member team. They have a mentor, someone who's sort of like there to guide them and probably find their jobs. And then we have a villain, the key villain, and that villain obviously has a henchwoman, someone who's there to kick ass and take some names. So all in all, we've got 6, so we've got 9 people in this casting. There'll be obviously more, but this is our main cast. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our team. We shall run through and we'll discuss that. Then we'll talk about the mentor, and then we'll talk about the baddies, because the baddies are always best when they come in last. So I won't go first because it's my show, but I want let's get the guests come on first. So I'm going to jot it around. We'll go around again. So Ria, you sound like you had this down pat. So go on and hit me with your 6. Who are the people that you've got as your 6?
Well, I think my leader is probably going to be on other people's lists. If not, shame on all of you. But it's Michelle Yeoh, obviously. So she is 100% my leader. She is the queen of action, badass, own stunts, doing crazy shit. In fact, I saw a video today of her where she just rode her motorcycle 3 times. Did you? Yeah. Yeah, we all saw it today on social media. Insane. And I was like, well, that's why she is on my list as my leader. Done. And again, she was like the first name when we were putting this together that went in my head. So that's my leader. I'm presuming there's not going to be any arguments against that. Now it gets into my team. Now my team, I say I've really thought about it, but there's the first person I'm going to say on my team, and I can't decide whether I want this actress from like her, what I wouldn't say is her action prime, not her life prime, because I would say she's still in her prime now. So I'm up for debating this, but it is Lucy Lawless. And I'm saying, do I want her from peak Xena Warrior Princess time, or do I want her from like now where she is absolutely in her prime but slightly less badass? So am I like 1995 Xena years, or am I older badass years now? So
I mean, Evil Dead TV
was
show, she's
about to
amazing
say,
in that.
Evil
Yeah.
Dead.
But
and she
that's what
showed
I
up
mean, like, she's obviously-
Shield for a second too.
yeah, exactly. That's actually one of the first things that popped into my head in Shield. So Lucy Lawless, who is just incredible. Next up, which I have a feeling will be on Jack's list, which is Zoe Saldana. That's, what is there to say about this woman? She started off being, well, first of all, she's badass in Center Stage, which if none of you have watched, go and watch. Like, it's the classic ballet film.
Crossroads, let's not forget.
Crossroads, exactly. She's badass in all of these. And then people start going, why don't we give her some guns? You're still like, holy shit, yes, well done. Very good job, that was right. And then they start teaching her like karate and shit. And I'm just like, and now she's doing badass backflips and fighting and stuff. So Zoe Saldana.
She plays Uhura.
Yeah, exactly. Badass.
That's a tough role to fill. But boy,
and she does it, doesn't she?
Beautifully.
Yeah. Grace and strength. Love it. I'm just caning through this list. I hope that's okay.
Go for it. Yeah. Tom.
And then second up, not second up. Next up is my second Zoe Bell, because why would we not? And we discussed her, Scott, on very briefly on our Action Ladies. And then finally, no list would be complete without this most amazing woman, Jennifer Garner. I couldn't do it. She had to be on the list. I've only done 5.
The leader plus 5.
Yeah.
6. Yeah.
How many have I done? Michelle, Lucy, Zoe, Jen. I've already done 5. Oh my God, this is why I was so damn cocky. Because I was like, I've got this shit.
You don't have your 6th what?
Yeah. I don't have my 6th person.
I had my teacher hat on, you see, I was paying attention.
Did you not write? You just said you wrote them down. What's in front of you? Come on.
I'm too cocky. This is why. I can't get over this. And the thing is, I've not gone for actually, maybe we do guessing. So I have not gone for Mila Jovovich because I know she's going to be on Tony's list. So that's not happening. But she is, I can't believe that I've just gone through it. She is an action lady, and I reckon you can probably guess her. It's an actress that I really like in a film that I really like. And I like the film because it talks about going from one place to another and then back again. And somehow it's the best storytelling ever. Can you guess who it is?
Charlize Theron.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Although she has turned herself into an action star, which I appreciate.
What I love so much when you think about when she first started and now and how her career's graduated. But it's, Jack, you can tell us how to pronounce her surname now, can't you?
Oh, Theron, I believe.
Theron.
Yeah, we've all been saying it wrong our whole life.
Oh.
Damn us for not speaking Dutch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I went really quickly through my list then. Do you remember when we did the draft and I had all of these reasons and I was like, and this is why, and justifying it? I'm not justifying this list.
You don't need to justify it. This is just most of this is just going to be because they're awesome.
Yeah, it pretty much is it.
Yeah, as we said in our private chat, they could all kick my ass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really struggled because I wanted some actresses who felt strong, didn't just play strong characters, because one of the things, and Scott and I discussed this, I find quite annoying is, unless it's, you're doing the Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing with supernatural powers, I don't like it when they don't look physically tough like they could do the things that they're doing. So I did have to base it, well, in my head anyway, because I knew the list, and then I did go, are they actually also physically strong people who could.
Could
do
you
these
believe them in a
things.
fight?
Yeah. And I was pleased that for me, in my list, yes.
Yeah.
They all
This is
are.
the Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, she is
isn't it?
nowhere
Let's be
near my
fair.
list. She's
Like,
not an she's
no.
not an action star. She's
No.
not.
And she, never looks convincing.
Oh,
Some
poor
good people.
Emma, she's going to be so upset. She loves Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow.
Yeah. I mean, she's a very good actress, but I just find it a sort of struggle.
We could talk about that as well.
Yeah. Different podcast.
She won't listen, it's fine.
I'm a fan of
you want.
Scarlett Johansson, but I don't think she's an action star, and I think she needs a good director and a good script.
Yes. Cool. Well, there's some people that, Michelle Yeoh, I'm going to want to come back to that as well. But yeah, as leader. Anyone else? Because anything you want to throw at Rhea's list at this point?
I think that's a banging list. I mean, we definitely have one crossover, so I'm excited about that. And you knew what it was. I mean, you'll know what it is as soon as you say it. So no, I'm excited. I want to bite my tongue because I have somebody on your list.
Go then, Tony, give us your list then.
My list.
Before Tony goes, I think you're probably able to tell that Rhea and I grew up in the same house.
Right, sure.
So let's have somebody with some variety.
Yeah,
sure. So my leader is not Michelle Yeoh, it's Ming-Na Wen. My list is Gen X badass lady. Now, I'm a Gen Xer, we get shit on. So I went the full gamut of Gen X from so my leader is at the high end of Gen X. Like she, believe it or not, you guys, if you looked at her, you would never know it. Ming-Na Wen, born in 1963.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. You can fuck right off. How dare
Absolute
you look
fountain
that
of
amazing.
youth. Insane.
Yeah. I love her. She is like, she was on a TV show called The Single Guy, a sitcom when I was a kid. I like, who's that? She's awesome. And then I've just followed her. She's amazing. So Ming-Na Wen's my leader because duh. Everybody listens to her. Then my list. I'm going to jump right to it, Rhea, the one that crosses over. How do we have a list of action badass Gen Xers if I don't have Jennifer Garner? Yes. And I'll tell you what, Peppermint, I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I almost cried a little how much I love Peppermint. And it was so disappointing.
Massively, that film is so underrated.
It's so fucking good. And you know what's funny? During the pandemic, they put it on Netflix. And everybody's like, oh, Jennifer Garner made this awesome Netflix movie. You guys should all see it. And I was like, you motherfuckers, you could have gone to see it in the theater. So fingers crossed that it gets a sequel because all the people saw it during the pandemic. They're like, oh my God, she's in such great shape in that. She's great. And of course,
Prime here, like it hit Prime here.
Yeah, it was.
Did well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. I loved Peppermint. And it's set up for a sequel. And I will go see that. I will break my not going to the theater streak to go see Peppermint. So then, of course, Mila. I'm sorry. I love Mila. Mila's the queen for me. Then so here's what I need. You talked about, is it somebody who you believe or don't believe, but she didn't start as an action star, but her first movie, she actually played a bank robber, and she's gone up and down and played lots of things, and she's playing an action star on TV right now. And I'm going for the queen herself, Queen Latifah. She's the equalizer now.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
And so, she's funny, she's charming as fuck, and Set It Off is a goddamn amazing movie. Jack and I, you talked about how great Set It Off is. That was her first movie. It's unbelievable. So Queen Latifah.
Oh.
Then here's my two that when you look at them, you wouldn't know they're Gen Xers. Danai Gurira, who is from Black Panther. Listen, I didn't know who she was until I saw Black Panther, and you can't take your eyes off her. And every scene she's in, you're like, wow. And I don't know what they're going to do with the new The Black Panther, and everybody's like, oh, it's going to be Lupita, which is fine, or it's going to be Shuri. That's fine. I'm sorry. You've got this woman, this actor, who's who's doing all of her own stunts. Give her the Black Panther helm, and I will be thrilled. So I think she's amazing.
Did you not watch The Walking Dead then? Because she's Michonne in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I didn't. I've never watched The Walking Dead.
Sensational.
Does she do lots of close fighting in that too?
Yeah, and
sword fighting, and she's just badass.
She's amazing.
She's so like the way she embodies Michonne is so strong and powerful, and you were like, this woman would kill me.
She would fucking.
Some of us find that strangely sexy.
Right? And honestly, the fact that she shaved her head and went all in Black Panther, she's fascinating in that movie. Because again, like the pool hall scene when she shows up in the pool hall, I'm just honestly stunned. That's Black Panther is the only Marvel movie I saw twice in the theater. And it's mostly because of her. Like,
Mhm.
I need to see what's happening there. So my final one, and this is, she's at the bottom end of the Gen X list. When you look at her, you're like, there's no way she's a Gen Xer, but she's slowly made the move into action star. And this may be controversial, but the last few movies I've seen her in, I'm impressed. And she is my dream casting for Jessica Cruz, Gina Rodriguez, Jane the Virgin herself. That's my list.
So
Her
there's
last
your
two action
team.
movies have not been great, but she's great in them. And that's the thing. Like, she's fully committed. Like, Awake is bad, but she's all in on it. And she's got a good range of performance, because if you're going to make an action film, you need somebody, it can't just all be camp. So you need somebody who's like a good dramatic actor. So obviously you've got Jennifer Garner, Ming-Na Wen, and Gina Rodriguez who can do the full.
I want to intercede there and say you are mostly right. However, I think there's a large portion of 80s action films that would tend to disagree with.
Totally true. No, I'm sorry. I apologize for taking.
You're saying that you need strong dramatic actors, and I'm going, really? Have you seen Raw Deal? Have you seen?
No, I
Commando?
have seen Raw Deal, of course. And Tokyo. What's the one with
Tango and
Brandon Lee?
Cash?
Yeah, Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
Showdown in Little Tokyo.
Showdown Little Tokyo. There's no. So anyway, that's my list.
Now we're talking my language. Let's go.
All right.
That's a good list. Queen Latifah, Jennifer Garner. I'm forming a bit of a sort of a backlist in my notes.
Oh, you're like, just in case, yeah. Latifah.
No, just names. I'm like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Lee kind of talked me right into Queen Latifah, because I had somebody else on the list and we were talking around it, and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, you know what? After we talked about it, I'm like, nope, Latifah's got to be on the list. And she does. I'm happy that she's there. And I love that she's the equalizer now. I love that she's like, this is who I am. I
want a crossover now with her and Denzel.
I would watch the shit.
How cool would that be?
Oh my God, amazing. Yeah.
Right, go on then, Jack. Hit us with your list.
All right, so coming in the lead as Betty Rachel. I've gone all in. I've given names to my characters. Expendable fans will get where I got those names from. So Betty Rachel is Michelle Yeoh. I've gone for her too. I just think the longevity she's had in her career, and she's hit all these different periods of action stardom, like the early 80s Jackie Chan Hong Kong stuff, and then the late 90s, early noughties Bond Girl and Wire Fu. And then she's doing it again with things like where she's playing the mentor role now in Gunpowder Milkshake and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Which is an amazing film.
Unbelievable, isn't it? So she just keeps like not coming back, because she's never gone away, but she keeps almost like reinventing herself, or keeps moving with the trends. I think she's amazing. Then in my kind of Statham type role, I've gone for Karen Gillan as Gale Force. And I think
did you see Duel? She's so
not yet. No,
amazing. I love that movie. It's so stupid, and I love everything about it. She's so good.
But to the point of what Rhea says, like, I buy her every time. Like, I buy her as Nebula. I buy her in Jumanji. I buy her in Gunpowder Milkshake again. Although that film is only it's decent. It's average, but the casting of that movie was amazing.
It's a weird one, that film, because it's one where like it's real 50-50. Like, parts of it are dreadful. And somebody, and I'm like, how is this? And then you get the next action scene is brilliant. And you're like, I'm not entirely sure how this crap and this brilliance have just come, like, how this has happened, such inconsistency.
I think they wrote it backwards. The third act, 'cause I remember when I finally watched it, I sent Jack a message. I was like, the third act of Gunpowder Milkshake, holy fuck. I feel like
the end
they
of it's
wrote
amazing.
The third act, and then they're like, how do we get here? It doesn't matter. Let's just get to the.
But yeah, I support that casting.
And then Zoe Saldana comes in for me. She's Haley Comet. But, Rhea's spoken about her. And I think even when she's not an all-out action star, like Avatar, she's not kind of all-out action now. Anahura in Trek, she still totally possesses the character of somebody who can handle herself in any situation. I think she's an astonishing actress. I think she's really underrated, actually. Fourth on my team, a familiar name, Jennifer Garner pops up again. Here, she's Laurie Driver.
I'm going to get punned out, Jack. I can't do this.
There's a few more to go.
That's a great name. Love it.
But I think, another one, like Elektra in Daredevil and Elektra, not good movies, but I buy her. She's fine. Like, and what she had to work with, she pulled it out of the bag. And Alias is just one of those shows which can be watched forever, and her performance in that show is one of the best things you'll ever see. And then I skipped one. I missed one in my list. Sorry. So I've got Michelle Rodriguez in mine. She is the badass. Like, nobody messes with Michelle Rodriguez, and like her career has been made off the back of these kind of characters, hasn't it? So she can only be called Abza Stone. Perfect, Michelle Rodriguez.
You're getting some sort of award for this.
Oh, for sure. I know. I'm glad he went last, right? Because how could we have followed?
I know. You imagine just be like, oh, I didn't come up with any names or anything. I'd have just been like, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, whatever.
And then rounding out my list is somebody who came today, like right at the last minute, but Sophia Boutella. I think she's fantastic. So when she's obviously in The Kingsman, and she plays the villainess in Star Trek Beyond. No, she doesn't. She plays like the that's Idris Elba. She plays like she's on the planet, isn't she?
Yeah,
she helps him out.
Simon Pegg. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again,
she was the mummy. She was the mummy in the Tom Cruise one,
which is an awful movie, as we all know. But she's bloody great in it.
Yeah, she's actually pretty good in it. Yeah.
So yeah, she rounds out my team as Amy 01. That's my weakest pun. Sorry to end on the weakest one, but I'd run out by this point.
Yeah, that's fine. You got Abza Stone and Laurie Driver in there. Like that's top shelf kind of work.
Thank you, sir.
So well done. Well done.
That's my team of 6.
That is fantastic. There's some strong people. I've got like Michelle Yeoh, and I'm still going to Queen Latifah. So good choice. Right, I'm going to give mine now. Actually, I think sort of, and then we can have a quick shufty between everybody's then. But mine sort of goes through. Starts off with the leader. I've gone with Charlize Theron as the leader. I just think she carries such an authority. Like since. Even as a villain, like in the Fast and the Furious films, but like in Fury Road and the Old Guard, and that, like she carries herself in such a way that like she's badass, but like I'd follow Charlize Theron to hell and back, and probably not realize I've done it, to be honest.
All 3 men nod. Yeah. I'll say to that.
I'll tell you what. Ever since it's Hancock, isn't it? She plays. She's the wife, and she turns out to be the superhero. Like, she's just I've always sort of thought Charlize Theron is just one of my favorite actresses. She's amazing. I'm going to back up Jack on the next one. Michelle Rodriguez comes in as sort of my sort of Jason Statham kind of. Like she's just like legit badass, and the amount of films I've seen, like she's done action films, and she's almost like action royalty at this point. Sort of like she sort of is that version of like she's because obviously unfortunately women don't get this sort of headline kind of thing, but like she's just 21st century action to me. One that has been mentioned a few times then, but is Ming-Na Wen, and she is ace. She's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, she's now in Star Wars, but to me, as young me. Not sitcoms. No. She's Chun-Li. This is from Street Fighter. Again, not a good film, but like the woman embodies like Street Fighter to me. So yeah, she Ming-Na Wen has been one of those that sort of came and went and then came back again, and you're just like, oh, where have you been? Right, okay, stay with us this time. You're amazing. Like, please stick around. And also she owns the triumvirate for the Disney Trinity. She's in Star Wars. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so she's covered Marvel, and she's also obviously the voice of Mulan, and so
she's a Disney princess.
So she has covered all 3 bases. So.
And I believe she's doing the voice of Mulan again in an upcoming game.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad that she's like, oh yeah, I can still pull that off.
Yeah, fair play. Right. This one's a staple for all of us, I think, but Zoe Saldana is she's just I think, like you say, she's strong, powerful, confident, like she's one of those actresses that no matter what she's in, like she's always at least pretty good. Like I don't think I've ever seen her be like bad. And so she was just sort of like an easy one. Like these first 4 were just like yep, like that was the easy one sort of done. It's so interesting to see them coming through again and again. Like these, it's sort of more diversity than I would say if you were to do this as a male list, though, which is quite interesting. And now I'm going to throw in my wild cards, my last two. So I've done 1 to 4, so 5 and 6, a bit of wild cards, not been mentioned yet. And so I'm going to throw them in. The next one I've got is Adrienne Palicki.
Oh yeah,
who that is. Who's that?
Yeah, she was Mockingbird on Shield.
She was Mockingbird. She was in a pilot for Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
she's
the
now,
first John Wick.
Yeah, she's in the first one. Yeah, and she's now in the on the Orville.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay.
That is a phenomenal show. But she's also sort of, and she covers her action sort of credentials in that as well. So she's done plenty. So Adrienne Palicki is just one of those actresses again. I think could have got more, could have achieved more, but for some reason never quite made it. But she's funny. She carries herself a bit like you were saying before. Like she's not. She's very sort of like cat-like. She's very sort of like a very slender woman, but like you get the feeling like she would kick your ass. Like you get it, like you're like, oh yeah, you carry yourself a certain way.
For me, she's always, because she's in Friday Night Lights, which I absolutely loved, and she was Tim Riggins' girlfriend at the start of that in season 1, and he's like can't think what his name is now. Gambit in the terrible movie, and John Carter.
Oh yeah.
Taylor
Kitsch.
Poor guy, another person who should be bigger than he is. But she was like, you saw those two were together. They were the power couple, but I don't necessarily mean the most powerful couple in the school. It was like, don't mess with these two. Bloody hell.
Yes, I know how you're talking about now. If you'd said Friday Night Lights, would have been like, yes, got it.
Okay. Go check her out in other things. She's doing good stuff. And my last one then, a bit more wild case, is Naomi Rapace.
Oh, she is definitely made, like she and Netflix have decided to make herself an action star.
Yes,
yeah.
I've watched quite a few of them, and they're good. But going back to even like the Dragon Tattoo, the Millennium sort of trilogy, the films that she did, and then coming off the back of that, she's done several. Like she did one with Colin Farrell, and there was she's done a couple of like
Whatever Happened to Monday.
Yes, she's done so I've watched quite a few of them. So I actually here's another one that's just sort of like she doesn't look particularly sort of like badassery, but I think like I'd have her as sort of like she'd be the sneaky one, sort of like she's quite small and compact and petite, and I think like she'd be my sort of the sort of spy of the sort of the team, the sort of the sneaky sort of the sneaky one. So that's our teams. So we have gone across generations and continents across it. That's a phenomenal list. But I was just looking at it. There are people that I didn't have Michelle Yeoh in this list, but she came up several times. Ming-Na Wen's come up several times. Zoe Saldana's come up, I think, for everybody pretty much. Again, like Charlize Theron's come up a few times. So we've got we've got Queen Latifah, Jennifer Garner. It's interesting how, like I say, although there's got a lot of diversity, there's some great sort of like actresses in there, and we've all referenced great films that they've done.
Yeah, they all have, and that's the thing too. I think there's not enough female action films. There's some bad ones. Let's not pretend. I mean, I've watched some really terrible female action movies. I will watch whatever junk action movies. That's my jam. All of us love that shit. But I think also it's a little bit harder to get. People will throw money at a janky Charles Bronson or Chuck Norris movie, but if you're going to make a woman action star movie, you got to make it a good movie too, right? So I think that's part of why the movies that a lot of these ladies are in are better, because they just kind of have to be to get produced. Where it's like, we need $5 million and Chuck Norris is going to kick somebody in tight pants. Sold. Or this, you just need something more to be like, well, what's the hook? What's the appeal? What's the whatever? So I think that's probably part of why too.
Yeah, because movie producers forget that women actually go to the cinema more than men do and consume more films more than men. And it's like, well, maybe we don't want to watch Sylvester Stallone beating somebody up again. Maybe we want to watch a cool woman do it. Like, right. Have you ever watched The Americans?
I have
watched
not.
the first.
You should.
Amazing.
It's like an amazing TV show. But Kerry Russell is somebody who was nearly on my list when I was first initially thinking about it, but she fell off just because of some of the others, and I think they've had the film work that backs them up more. But the reason The Americans is so good is because Kerry Russell is an amazing actress, but she kicks ass. She is the action hero in that show. I mean, there's also other things that make it amazing. I shouldn't just distill it down to that. But it's like, it is a show that, I mean, it's so smart and clever, but the female lead is badass and will slit your throat, beat the shit out of you, more so than the male character. He is not like that at all. He is a lot softer, and it's so unusual. And I'm just like, why does that not get translated to the big screen? Why are we not seeing action films where it is the softer male side and the harder female side? Like, I'm 100% there for it.
I do think there's a reason for that. Although I really didn't like it. If you watch Thor: Love and Thunder, and I didn't dislike it for this reason, but if you look at the sort of the relationship between Thor and Lady Thor, but as
Mighty Thor,
Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. Thank you. I was trying to name. That's definitely there. Like, she has got like that more. She for most of the film, like, she's not more brutal in any way, but she has more of an edge than Thor, because they've himboed Thor, and so that's why I do think sort of like they can get away with it, or they think they get away with it when there's a comedy edge. Do you know what I mean? If you were to play it straight, yeah, you know the world we live in, don't you? Like, you wouldn't hear the end of it. Like, it probably would. I'd happily watch it. I think there's been some films that have done quite well in that, but even when it's alluded to, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, like, she's in that. They even acknowledge like she's the better fighter of the two of them. But you can do it in a comedy way. But the moment you try and play it straight, I think too much testosterone gets hurt.
That's what happened with Salt. That's why Salt wasn't the hit that it deserved to be, because they didn't play it for laughs. And Salt is fucking amazing.
Yeah, Salt's a good film.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I'm amazed Angelina Jolie's not on your list for it, but maybe she'll come up later.
I'm not going to guess this, but Angelina Jolie was originally on my list, and I took her off. And there's a reason for that. It's more a case of just sort of like, although I think she's a great actress and she's done some good films, I can only tolerate her on screen for a certain amount of time. I don't know what it is. No, seriously, it's not like a personal thing. It's just after a while she starts to grate on me, where I'm just like, okay, well, I think I'm Jolied out now. I think I'll just leave it. And I've never really put my finger on what it is, but she just kind of grates. There's other actors.
Does she make you feel small because she's so fantastic?
No, it's not particularly.
Like, oh, I cannot watch this strong woman. She makes me feel so weak, and I can't handle it.
No, it's not really that, because there's so many others. It's because there are male actors that are the same, where I'm just like, I'm sort of done with you, and I don't know. He's like Christian Bale's the same, where I'm like, I recognise you're really good, but I can only seem to tolerate you for so much. And then I'm sort of like, so, I don't know. It's weird. I've just got odd tastes.
We are still waiting for that great, like, female-led action franchise, really, aren't we? Like, proper, like, A-list. I know that we could probably ream off some Cynthia Rothrock and stuff like that, but you think of, like, Columbiana, with Zoe Saldana.
Why wasn't that a sequel?
Yeah, or Peppermint. Like, why has Peppermint not got 6 Death Wish sequels like Death Wish has? Or why hasn't Michelle Rodriguez been given her own starring vehicle? Where is Atomic Blonde 2? Like,
yeah, she did. Unfortunately, some of them have had great films that we've mentioned a few there, right? Columbine and, like I say, Peppermint, and looking at some of the others, even like Michelle Yeoh's had a few, but like Charlize Theron, like, Atomic Blonde. Like, why has that not got more?
I'm here for it. Give me Atomic Blonde 2 through 6. I'm all signed up.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Michelle Rodriguez signed up to do a film where she plays a man for the first 10 minutes of the film.
You and I discussed that. The Assignment it's called The Assignment in America.
I have not seen this film or heard of it.
Right,
it's Sigourney Weaver. It's worth watching.
It's a real oddity where Michelle Rodriguez plays a man for the first part of the film. And then she is attacked and he's attacked and stated, and wakes up as a woman and has gone through gender reassignment. And the film is then the Michelle Rodriguez trying to find out who did this to it in some sort of weird John Wick way. And you're like, right, they're going for hard hitting, but I can still tell that the start of the film is Michelle Rodriguez in a bad beard.
It's really bad. But I watched it and you watched it, Scott. So what does that?
Oh,
Sigourney
yeah.
Weaver's also in it, everybody.
Yeah, it's worth seeing just for one of those oddities where you're like it got past scripting, it got past budgeting,
it got past anything. It sounds so problematic.
It is.
Michelle's a producer on that film.
Yes,
it was a film she wanted to make.
Yeah. It's the costuming and the makeup in the first 10 to 15 minutes is something to behold.
It's amazing. Yeah. I would say watch it right now. Everybody stop what you're doing.
Pause this.
Watch it.
Pause this. Go find out what it's called and watch it, and then come back.
In your country, in America, it's called The Assignment.
Yeah, I think it's called something else over here. I can't remember what it's called, but you'll find. Just go on IMDb. Look at Michelle Rodriguez. You won't miss it on Michelle Rodriguez's list of films. Seriously,
and a few people have tried, haven't they? Like we had Jolt last year, but that wasn't very good.
That was
Kate Beckinsale, yeah.
Kate Beckinsale. That was all right. It was fun, but it wasn't.
But Kate was good with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
That was a good film, but that's like that's not to spoil the ending, but that's more of a
difficult to have a second.
DOA.
It's a DOA. It's exactly it's a DOA. So it's sort of can't really have a follow on with that.
No.
But there's been a couple. Right, let's get into mentors then. All right, so we're going to go around again. We're going different order. This is the character that's acted as a mentor to either the leader, but maybe one of those things that gets them a job. Those kind of things. So, I read bad drum roll. Jack, hit me with your mentor. Who's your mentor?
There was only one choice for me in this one, and I think the movie that made me want to pick her as the mentor is maybe not the obvious one. I've gone for Linda Hamilton as Judgment. But it's actually because of her performance in Dark Fate. I think she's brilliant as that more grizzled Sarah Connor. I've toyed with the idea of Lena Headey actually because of her performance of Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. But you can't. I had to have Linda Hamilton in here somewhere, and this is where she fit for me.
Right, before we go any further, you and I have just completely collided because it's exactly what I had. Was Linda Hamilton, and it is that sort of like her in Dark Fate was what won me over. Because again, I was just like, just that sort of almost slightly drunk, belligerent, sort of like cynical, angry kind of. I was like, that is she plays that to a T, and she's so good in it.
And the way she.
Ooh, we may have lost Jack. We shall move on. I'll wait for him.
I can't remember the name of the character, like the young woman in that film. I think is excellent. Oh yeah, so the way she mentors through like the character in the movie, and even like the cyborg as well. That she's kind of a mentor for both of them of the female characters in that. I think she's really great in that movie. Yeah,
no, 100%, totally agree with that. So all right, that's two of us down for Linda Hamilton. All right, and Tony, hit me with your mentor.
Oh, everybody's favorite, sexiest Mrs. Claus in the history of the world, Charlie herself. Oh, Jack's making a face. Gina Davis.
I couldn't tell where you were going with that.
No, I was confused.
What was the face? I was like, what the hell is he going on about?
I'm sorry.
I was running through Christmas films and going like, Mrs. Claus.
Black himself.
Like, what is this film?
You have all seen it, and you all love The Long Kiss
It is
Goodnight.
one of my favorite
films. And she did that in Cutthroat Island in the same year. And I know, say what you want about Cutthroat Island, but she also made Thelma and Louise. And don't forget, she's an Olympic level archer in real life.
Yeah.
And in my head canon, she shows up in Ava. Jessica almost made my list. But she shows up in Ava, and in my head canon, Ava is in the Long Kiss Goodnight universe. And the reason that she's such a pissy grump in this movie is because she is Charlie, and Ava is her daughter. And she's pissed that she's like not living her life. So Gina Davis is my mentor because I feel like Long Kiss Goodnight is Shane Black's. I mean, it's not my favorite Shane Black movie. It's the best Shane Black movie. And she's awesome. And I know, Jack, you're shaking your head. I know. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I understand. But what I'm saying is, it's also Sam Jackson's favorite movie that he's ever been in because Gina Davis is so goddamn badass in that movie. So to me, because of her, she's the non-Gen Xer in this. She's barely a boomer. She's like on that edge. But she just did it first. She blazed the trail for the rest of my ladies. If Long Kiss Goodnight didn't happen, I don't think a lot of the other movies would have happened. And I just fucking love that movie.
No, that's good.
So much. So
Yeah,
good argument.
Yeah.
Shane Black's an odd one, isn't he? Because he's sort of like, because you do go back and you watch these films. There's that Lethal Weapon, Last Boy Scout. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. You go, oh yeah, they've written some amazing films. He's really switched on to this. And then you watch The Predator, and you just think, man, that guy's a fucking prick.
Yeah, I know. What movie was that? I don't know. Anyway,
besides the point. Right.
Yes.
But Gina Davis is a great choice. Okay, Ria, hit me with your mentor. Who have we got?
Well, funnily enough, Tony, it's not Gina Davis, but she nearly was my mentor. But she unfortunately got into a fist fight with Pam Grier. And Pam won.
Pam Grier.
Yes.
Because Long Kiss Goodnight is one of my favourite action movies. And I also think it is the best Shane Black film. Sorry, Jack. And I think she is...
You're allowed to be wrong.
I mean, I'm right, but sure. And I think she paved the way for so many other women to take on complex, strong women roles. And just in real life, she's awesome as well. Go check out the Gina Davis Institute, just to go have a look. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Feminism, woo! But yeah, so she unfortunately lost to Pam, who it doesn't help that I recently did Spider Dan for Pam Grier, and you go back and you watch her films and you're like, holy shit, like how is Pam Grier not bigger? Because she is, I know, right? Because she's a cult icon. She's not mainstream. You can go up to somebody in the street and they won't know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And she is the definition of like strength, grace, like pure sex, intelligence. She would just be like getting my team together and being like, this is what you're doing, bam, bam, bam. I've organized you all, off you crack. And then if there was going to be a twist and it was going to be, the mentor had screwed them all over. I mean, Pam would not do this. But if it wasn't the mentor had screwed them all over and it was Pam had like stolen all the money or weapons or whatever, you'd totally be like, yeah.
You guys deserved it.
Yeah.
It's still the ending from Bill and Ted's Baker's Journey. She can just unzip herself.
Yes.
And there's somebody else inside her.
You're totally like, yeah, I'm down for this.
Yeah.
She is amazing.
You want it's a great choice. Like Pam Grier, I'm so glad she's on somebody's list because it's well deserved. One of the things that's interesting though is and this is something I did want to bring up, and I'm going to use this segue. We've mentioned Michelle Yeoh. I mean, I mentioned Pam Grier, and you mentioned obviously those Gen X kind of sort of like heroes, but we've also talked about Ming Na Wen, and a couple of people obviously mentioned others. But it's interesting how action, as in predominantly male action, comes from like cop films and sort of like thrillers and that sort of thing. And it's usually sort of like a white male cop or a white male soldier, sort of like, and then grew into the 80s with Stallone and Arnie and Van Damme and so on and so forth. Chuck Norris. All very white, all very sort of like, big muscly boobs, that kind of thing. All right. But with female-driven action, it comes from those cult subgenres. Like it's really driven by Hong Kong cinema, blaxploitation, even European cinema, like Italian cinema and stuff, has had more sort of female sort of action-led things than American and the West. So it is interesting how sort of, you say about her being a cult icon, and you are 100% correct. But it is right. It's weird how sort of everybody else was sort of doing it, but it never broke the mainstream because it wasn't the West or the American Hollywood in particular was very focused on this male-driven action wagon. But yeah, they are out there, early adopters of it. It's well worth checking out those sorts of early films. Cool. Learning stuff as we go. All right, it's time for the villain and their henchman. We're going to go for a twofer this time. And so we're going to go back round. So the villain and their henchperson. Go on then, Ria.
Oh, okay.
You can go first.
So I like a villain who has good motivation. They're so much more interesting and so much more compelling. Well, I mean, sometimes I do also want a villain who's got a bad Russian accent and somebody goes and shoots them. That is...
So Jason Fleming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Gary Oldman in Air Force One.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy those villains a lot, and that is awesome. But in my fictional Expendabelles, I want a villain who has charisma and can charm you, but is also a badass lady. So my villain is Angelina Jolie.
Nice. I thought you were going to say Michelle Pfeiffer.
I mean,
here's all my money, ma'am.
Yeah, I would be well up for that. It's too hard, isn't it? It's just too many amazing women. So yes, Angelina Jolie, and now her sidekick is somebody who has appeared on your teams, and I like what I've done here. So proud of myself, because I think this is another actress who has a lot of charisma, and she often walks the bad girl line, like she's the wrong side of the tracks, but she's actually good, and that is Michelle Rodriguez. I want villains that are likable.
Yeah.
Not even likable, but charismatic, that you can understand where they're coming from.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to jump in because she's my sidekick too.
Ah!
I'm going to jump in line because it was torn. I went back and forth, and I even crossed it out. There's even a cross out on my list here. I crossed out a name right there. It said Ronda Rousey. It was like, out you go, Ronda Rousey, because you're in Expendables 3, so you don't get to be, you can't be in this universe. So out you go. So I made my sidekick. So Michelle Rodriguez was on my list of 6, but it's like, no, she has crossed the line. In the last Resident Evil she was in, she played a baddie, even though she was a reboot of herself. So Michelle Rodriguez is my henchwoman. And my villain, my supreme queen, playing against type, you would never see it coming, is Michelle Yeoh, everybody. Double whammy Michelle.
Nice.
Right. I love that so
nobody would see it coming because you're like, oh, there's Michelle Yeoh. She's always a hero. So fuck everybody. She's going to be the bad guy because she is tired of your bullshit.
Yeah.
I love that.
Having watched sort of like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I could imagine her just being tired of everyone's
of your bullshit.
Like, I'm done with this.
Just as an actor, she's done everything. She's going to win an Oscar, right, for this, for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So the world will finally know who Michelle Yeoh is. But it's like, we who know her and love her are like, so that's why I made her the villain, because like as an actor, I've never seen her play a hardcore baddie, but except in Crazy Rich Asians. When I saw she was cast in Crazy, and I read that book, and then I'm like, oh my God, the grandma's Michelle Yeoh. That is going to be amazing to see her be just a huge bitch. And the fact that she pulled that off so well, I'm like, that was the decision.
And what I love it, because I also read Crazy Rich Asians, and then she was cast in films like I am here for it. Is that she, and I may be misremembering, is she wanted to infuse her she wanted her to both be like scary and cold and all the things that she is and she brings off, but also she's like, I want to infuse her with a little bit of softness. And I'm like, you are the scariest mother-in-law in the whole entire world. Where is this softness?
I didn't see it because again, if your mother-in-law could just kick you through till next week. Yeah. So that's my. So I'm sorry I wanted to jump, but since you said
no. That's a nice crossover. So then. Go on then, Jack. Give us yours then. Villain and henchwoman. What have you got?
So again, for my main villain, it's somebody that's come up before, but I've shifted her down to my villain. I'm going to have Charlize Theron, as my villain. She's going to be Michaela Villain. She is a Machiavellian villain.
Yeah. Nice. You want to say before you say Villain, as that is literally the name of Jean-Claude Van Damme's character in The Expendables.
It is. You're quite right. Yeah.
But I like the fact you've extended it. But you've extended it with Michaela Villain. Machiavellian. I like that.
But I think she's another one who, well, we know she was in Monster in a very dramatic role and got her Oscar for that. So we've seen her play the more sinister side before. She could pull it off easily. Like she could do anything she wants, really. So, and as you said, she's been in the Fast and Furious, but not as an out and out villain character. I'd quite like to see her as somebody like proper, for want of a better phrase, moustache twirling. I don't know what I'm loath to pigtail twirling doesn't quite work. I'm not sure.
Chin stroking.
I think she could pull that off.
No, Ria's going to know. I don't know. What is it then? What's the equivalent to a mustachio twirling villain?
I don't know, but I don't like any of these.
A feather boa twirling?
No.
All right.
Shut it down. Let's move on.
Yeah. There's a little insight to my childhood there, people. Trying to be creative, shut down.
Yeah. Just be good. Be good creative.
And then for my henchwoman, I've gone really, really left field. And this was like not quite as last minute as Sophie Patella, who was, I was doing a last minute research today, but was last week I watched a movie called Samaritan starring Sylvester Stallone. which is a very average movie.
Average,
But I
yeah.
thought there was an actress in that who had loads of screen presence, and that was Sophia Tatum playing the henchwoman in that movie.
She was great.
I thought she was fantastic. So she is lunatic in my team up. I think she's somebody there's somebody who I would have cast in this who we're not going to talk about, who I can't have anymore because she's not a very nice
course.
person and she's not in the Star Wars universe anymore. She's the
She would have
obvious
been a
pick.
Yeah,
This is the actress I think that could go on and do
her stuff.
that she now is not allowed to do.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Actually, that's
It
a very
is.
very good point. I wanted to go against type as well for my villains, and so both of mine have already been mentioned today. But the villain, I felt like I wanted someone who had that sort of bit of presence and charisma, but also was sort of like didn't was more associated with not so much innocence, but something different. So actually, my villain is played by Jennifer Garner.
Oh,
So she's made all 4 lists, and so is
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Nice.
And her henchwoman. So I mean, she can. I know that she can look after herself. Like she could pick up a machine gun or throw a knife. Like I'm happy that she'd look after herself. But these people never want to get their hands completely dirty. So she's got a real badass, kick-ass henchwoman in Mia Djokovic as her.
Tony.
I love her so much. I don't care if she's good or bad, as long as she's there, man. I love her so much.
What in my head, right? Because I was thinking, what I want in the showdown is you obviously have Jennifer Garner versus Charlize Theron in their end battle, right? And that's usually like the big one, isn't it, sort of thing. But then you want like a sub battle where it's sort of like one of the team versus. So I wanted Ming-Na Wen versus Mia Djokovic. I was like, that's the fight I want. That's the fight I'm having.
See, and that was my thing. I have Ming-Na Wen v. Michelle Yeoh. I mean, that's the sequel to Versus that we didn't get, right? The Jet Li, Jason Statham film, which you'll be covering soon, I hear. But isn't that what that's called, Versus?
The one.
No, they were in 2 together.
Oh, Chaos.
Chaos.
No. Jet Li and Jason, not Chaos.
No, that's the Wesley Snipes one.
Yeah, that's the Wesley Snipes one. Isn't it just called Versus?
Let me consult my list.
Please.
There's one called X versus
War.
Sorry, it's War. Yes. So the
what
sequel
is it
to
good
War
for?
would be Ming-Na Wen v. Sorry, Jack. I didn't mean to. I don't know why I thought it was called Versus. But anyway, that's exactly what I was thinking, Scott. Having Ming-Na Wen and Michelle Yeoh fight for 10 minutes at the end. I want that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well with like mine. I wanted them to not just be villains that are standing there going.
That's why I
them
didn't
to
pick
fight.
Helen Mirren.
I want them to fight. I want them to be physical. I want them to have chases. I want them to be firing blimmin' rocket launchers and shit like that. Like I want it to be like a proper, full out fight. Tits to the wall fight. Like
Don't just stand there twirling your handbag around your head. Come on, ladies, let's stick it. Handbag?
Still working
No?
on it. Still working on it.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things I think we've also said, as you said, some of the actresses that we've put into this that have come up repeatedly, like you said, Michelle Yeoh, Charlize Theron, Jennifer Garner, sort of,
Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah, these are virtually every list, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a core there that you are going like, these are people that we independently have thought of this list, and these names have come up again, and it does make you wonder to say like, it wasn't hard to put this list together. It was hard to narrow it down what I really wanted.
Yeah, I did. Zoe Salonda.
I've got a lot of reserves.
Me too. Yeah. Zoe Salonda, Zoe Kravitz. Neither of them are on my list, but they almost were.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana was on. Oh yeah, it was on several.
Yeah.
The other, there was a few. I'll say, I didn't choose Angelina Jolie, but she makes sense on the list. There's a few others. I had Jennifer Garner, but like Jennifer Lawrence popped into my head. I was thinking, wouldn't mind. That'd be interesting. I thought it was up between her and Jennifer Garner for villain. That'd be quite interesting. But yeah, there's so many that I was just like, oh no, yeah, this could be such a, like Ronda Rousey just said, sort of like, she's almost, she's put herself out by being in the Expendables. But yeah, I was really sort of like thinking like, but why hasn't this happened? And I went back and there was sort of like there has been like, more recently these female tried to lead female led action. They did the 355. I haven't got around to watching it yet.
The problem with it is the Chinese actress, Bing Bing, she couldn't get out of the country for tax purposes, so they CGI'd her in. They like had her stunt double there, and it was so really, really obvious and bad. And they should have just cut it and then had her seen as the stinger at the end. So you just have the four of them, because the four of them were very good. And then you have that as the stinger at the end to set it up, and I think it would have worked better. But they shot around it because they paid her. So they filmed a bunch of her solo scenes, and it's very obvious she's like standing in a room in Beijing somewhere, saying her lines to a camera, and then here's Jessica and Lupita, these amazing award-winning actresses staring at nobody. It was so poorly edited. So it should have been amazing, and they should have just cut her from the film, but they didn't.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
I watched it though, of course. I was all on it because it premiered on Peacock here, and I have that as part of my cable package. So it's like sold.
It's worth probably checking out. But there's what I'm saying, like there's a list here. This isn't hard. Like, so the question is like, so why hasn't, like you said, why hasn't this been done? Because this would be something like the Expendabelles. Like I remember when it was not something announced, but it was sort of like floated around Hollywood. As you were saying, Jack, like 10 years ago or something, Expendables was first coming out. And even then I was just like, yeah, cool, do it. And everyone was talking like, even like Sigourney Weaver would be the sort of like the Mickey Rourke, and you'd have all these other characters in it. And I'm like, cool, do it.
And we've had Ocean's 8, and that did well.
That was
I don't know if it set the world on fire, but it did well, and it box office wise, and it was reviewed fairly well.
Enough, though. That's the problem, because if it's the problem, because the answer is the patriarchy. That is the answer why this doesn't exist. And it's even if it's the classic that you can make a very middling action film, and producers will go, let's just chuck that director more money either to make a sequel or another middling action film. But if a woman makes an action film, and we see this over and over again, and it's not like setting the box office on fire, there's no appetite for it. The audience don't want to see it, it's too risky. And it's like, but it's not, is it? It's just because you don't believe in women because the patriarchy.
Look at Catherine Bigelow, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We see it time and time again. And just from this conversation, I can guarantee you from listeners, you can tell there is an appetite for it, but we currently live in a world where that doesn't exist. The safe thing is Disney, Marvel sequels. And it's just sort of, if you were going to do this some way, you would have to do it on an indie budget, but have all the big stuff, and that just, you can't do that.
Well, there's two things to that. I would say, obviously, and I know, Jack, I needled you to watch it, and you finally did. The Spy Who Dumped Me is everything you just said.
I love that film.
We saw it in the theater, and we laughed hysterically because it is beat for beat every single bad action movie, even with the ridiculous, no need, full frontal male nudity.
Is that Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon?
Yeah.
Kate McKinnon is my queen. I just love that woman.
She's so great in it. It's so funny and it's so stupid. It's beat for beat. If you made it two dudes in the exact same movie. And the problem was people were like, we thought it was going to be a comedy. Well, it is funny, but it is still just an action movie. It's still just a spy thriller. So there's that. So what you're saying, but that movie actually doubled its budget. Peppermint doubled its budget. The problem is it didn't quadruple its budget. It didn't do well in China. So they're like, listen, if you spent $15 million on an indie action film and you made $45 million after everything, after home rentals and everything, then you should get a fucking sequel because you tripled your budget. This is where I miss Canon Films, because they'd be like, yes,
exactly,
let's make 10 more of these. The other thing is that TV is where it's at. And I've not watched the Hannah series yet.
No, I've not seen it.
Saoirse Ronan was on my short list here, but she hasn't really done a ton of action, but she's great in Hannah. I don't know if you guys saw the movie version of that. She's amazing. But that as a TV series has done very well. And I think Jolt was released direct to Amazon. So I think there's a place on TV for this. And like I said, Peppermint did really well on Netflix. So it's like people will watch it if they don't have to go to the theater and buy a ticket or something. So maybe the place for this female action is on the small screen.
100%. I think this is one of those things where because I look at Netflix and some of the direct that they produce at the moment. Like they had a film with The Rock in it, Dwayne Johnson.
Red Notice.
Red Notice. Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. And it's got these big names. It's got a big budget. It was all kind of things. It was possibly one of the worst, dullest action adventure films I've ever watched. Like it was when you come out of it and you go, huh, that was awful. I literally felt like my pulse was never raised in that film. Like it was dire. And you're right. And you go, so much more could have been made in its place. And then you say like the Netflix has done a couple of those like No Mirror Pace films, or they've just been made and then dumped on Netflix, but they're actually pretty good. And I do think that there's a home on streaming for these things where you can try things. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, from a horror perspective, if you go that way, but Blumhouse does well. They have a deal with Amazon, don't they, where they've got like Blumhouse Presents. So they're like, we've got this director and we've got this idea. We don't really think it can play big yet, but we want to try it. So we're going to go, they produce like The Manor, which is actually pretty good. And so there's a part of me that's going, I'm wanting that. Like you say, Canon Film. I'm waiting for some sort of streaming to just go, we're going to start making these films. Yeah, we want Peppermint like 2 through 8.
Yeah.
And or like we're going to create our own female action franchise. Like we want, a Beverly Hills Cops on a kind of thing, or like something like that. Like get someone who's funny, or like
Tiffany Haddish. There you go.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop 4, 5, 7 with Tiffany Haddish as the lead. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Yeah, I love the Beverly Hills Cop films, and I know we're getting a 4th one. Great. But let's do something different. Like give me something like, give me Atomic Blonde 2 rather than the Beverly Hills Cop 4. But like I don't know.
Just take a risk on them potentially being shit. Like you take a risk on so many other films being shit that stream Netflix and Amazon just pumping shit out all the time. Like have a go at doing one, and even if it's shit, just put it on your platform and see if people watch it. Give some actresses a chance, give some filmmakers a chance to just get this out there. That's all it needs.
I agree. I'd love to do it. If that would be like you say, choose some filmmakers. There's 2 things I want to throw out just as a final thing before we wrap all this up. So there is another film I wanted to talk about today, and it's and this is not to put down on anybody, but it's you talk about independent films and bad choices being made for poor studio films. There's a film from the early 90s or mid 90s, I think, called Skyscraper. And it's a die-hard Anna Nicole Smith Skyscraper. It's an action film to behold. She plays a helicopter pilot in it for some reason with no, I don't know what.
You mean you can't envision that?
It's not that part I can't envision. I can imagine a flying helicopter. It's the action. You say about bad editing in the 355. There is some of the because I know someone who knows a bunch of stuff from behind the scenes, and she couldn't get some of the choreography for the fights. So there is scenes in that where she is throwing a punch, but there is literally she's throwing a punch out of shot, and then they cut to a fist punching someone in the face and that sort of thing. Like
Samurai Cop.
That sort of level. It's phenomenal to see. It's one of those sort of bad films that's so bad it's like entertaining, because there's actors in it that are really like the villain in it is really trying. It's amazing. So yeah, go check out Skyscraper with Anna Nicole Smith.
It's on my list, not to just self-promote myself, but for the pop list for this Christmas, I'm planning on doing 31 days of Die Hard derivatives.
Nice.
I've watched quite a few already, but I've got a full list of things I want to work through, and that is on the list.
Both Skyscrapers?
Skyscraper's on this. I've never seen it, but it's on there.
But the Rock Skyscraper too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Fine, great, 2 done. Tick tick. But you describing it, Scott, made me think of a film that I have watched called No Contest,
right?
Which is starring Shannon Tweed.
Oof.
Oh, and wow. It's like a beauty contest that gets taken over, and she has to and it's that thing of she can't fight. She is it is that, oh my god, this is so bad, it's great, and it even got a sequel. So No Contest 2 coming to you this December.
Can't wait.
So yeah, I love that. I love those ideas and watching those movies. And Tony, you referencing Canon and so many of these films, they're so watchable.
Well, Ninja 3 is a female. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Ninja 3, they're like, we're going to put
domination.
Right? And then you mentioned Cynthia Rothrock. They're like, they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Here's some money. And I know they made bad movies, but they didn't care. The only reason they went bankrupt is because they made other bad choices.
Yeah.
Most of their movies made money.
Well, yes, they did. They made money, but that money they'd already spent that money 4 years previously. on some of the best films.
It's true. It was
That's the
bad
problem.
choices, but there's a market for that, and it's
Oh
still,
yeah, there is.
in this
100%.
world. Like the new Fletch movie just got released on demand, and they're just like, and everybody says it's John Hamm's best performance. It's better than the second Gina Davis was in the original Fletch, of course, with Larry. But everybody's like, it's better than that, and John Hamm, because he's a better actor than Chevy Chase, and that didn't even get a release over here. It just went straight to streaming.
Well, we haven't got it at all. It's not being released over here.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a market for stuff like that. So just do it. Go ahead, put it out there. Do a video on demand for $3. People will buy stupid shit. We all like bad movies. So I'm with you.
Not even bad, just all films. I mean, the Scott Adkins, just to throw in a sort of
a tax collector.
Yeah.
What a film.
The collector films are great films. Anyway, does bad films. Final thing I want to throw out there. You've just mentioned something. So you talked about Christmas and the films we watch at Christmas. And we watch family films and comedies and lovely animations and all that kind of stuff. And at Halloween, we watch spooky films. And I'm going through sort of haunted house films at the moment. So I'm actually going to say, I'm going to promote this now. Easter should become action movie season.
I'm down.
Love it.
Putting it out there.
Sold.
Yeah.
Done.
There you go.
I mean,
So
we'll watch
Next Easter, Pop Thrillers. Let's do it.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
There you go. We were looking for something to do.
Easter
after
action.
We finished.
That's what
Yeah,
it is.
We are doing right now in Pop Gorillas. We're doing 4 series. One of them is led by Mila. We're doing there's 2 female-led series because we're doing Scream, Resident Evil, Chucky, and Final Destination. And
Final Destination is mixed as well, to be fair.
Is, yeah,
true.
really nice,
and the Chucky that I just watched this morning, and I secretly low-key love, I can't wait for you guys to hear my review, Seed of Chucky. Jennifer Tilly gives it her all. And
she is great in those movies.
Honestly,
so there's a lot of female-led stuff in those Chucky movies too, which are awful. But so it is funny that,
shut up.
That women, but it's funny you mentioned horror though, and I know we're running out of time, and I'm the one who's got a heart out, but I would say that there's a place in horror. Women get the lead, the final girl. So if there's an audience there too, so we just need to move the meter from October to March and April, as you say, Scott, and be like, here we go.
You're starting to see that though with films like You're Next. I think is a great example of a horror film, which is an action film as well.
Ready or Not?
Ready or Not? Exactly.
Is that the one with is that Samara Weaving?
She was almost on my list too.
Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day. I was just thinking with Jessica Roth. Yeah.
We get horror has always been more forward thinking in stuff like that, and obviously having female leads and stuff like that. But we can see there are some female action stars emerging from the horror genre.
And I think Samra is the one, right? Did you guys see Guns Akimbo?
Yeah, Guns Akimbo's ace.
Dude, I love that. That movie's so stupid. Have you seen it, Ria?
Not yet. No, it's on our watch list, which means we'll watch it in about 7.5 years'
She's
time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Jessica Henwick's the other one. Like, why have we let her go? Like, Iron Fist was crap, I know, but she was great in it as Colleen.
Yeah.
Like, get her back in the action fold. Like, we're wasting her.
We are wasting her.
Yeah, that was a bit of a. I think it was because of Misfire and it was on Netflix. I don't think not enough people saw it. There was enough exposure. But you're right. Get them back. Anyway, right. We are running out of time, and we could keep going. We could just keep going with this conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to say I hope you've enjoyed us talking about these female-led this Expendabelles, because I think this is a great list, and I've really enjoyed doing this. But it proves Hollywood, you are listening. Producers out there, listen to what we're saying on 20th Century Geek. We want female-led action films. There are some fantastic stars out there that could do this, and if you don't do it, they're going to kick your ass. Go do it. Go do. We'll write one for you if you need to. But before we go, let's go around the table so people can say goodbye. I'll let Tony go first because he might need to leave. Tony,
I don't want to leave. I have to leave, unfortunately. And actually, the two of the people here are doing another show. They've got endurance like nobody, like they're in their own action movie. So yes, thank you, Scott, for this. This has been a joy and a pleasure. I love seeing all your happy faces. And so I have a website, arfarina.com, where you can get hold of me and all my things and links to my websites with shows with Jack, shows with Rhea, shows with you, Scott. I've been all over. And send me a note. And I can't wait. I hope people tag you, Scott, and tell us what their action lists are, because I'm excited to hear about it.
Yes, let us know. Jack, what about yourself? How can people find you and listen to you?
main place to find me is on Twitter under I am Jack's Musings. That's JACS. And then alongside all the lovely comics motion stuff we're doing, we've got Pop Gorilla seasons coming up, and Ria's about to she's not gonna have any caffeine. She doesn't drink caffeine. She's gonna need to take something because I'm gonna make her start for another 90 minutes to talk about Jason Statham in Revolver for my Bachelor Filmography
I thought
series.
Dan was going to do Revolver. You are a queen, Ria.
Chris was meant to do Revolver, but we couldn't arrange it. Dan is being saved along with Andy for the upcoming In the Name of the King.
Oh, right.
Yeah, at least I'm not having to do that. At least I didn't have to do London, Tony.
Yeah,
I did London.
Yeah.
And Scott, we mentioned War. You're my man for War, I believe.
I am, yes. Yeah. I can't, yeah. Or whoever's doing In the Name of the King, though. Ooh.
Andy and Dan.
I've saved Andy for his special rant.
That's a doozy, that one, I tell you. Right. And Ria, where can people find you?
On Twitter and Instagram at Ria Carrigan, and at Fem on Film Pod on Twitter, and all of the other places everybody else has mentioned. Pop Gorillas. I will probably go insane in December again and watch lots of.
Do it.
41 new ones, Ria. What are you going to do?
You've got more than you can watch across this. Like, you
know.
can't even watch one a day. There's so many. What
I
a
know.
joy.
So join me as I lose my mind once again during the festive period.
Can't wait. That sounds fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it. These three fantastic guests. Go check out their content. It's all wonderful and I highly recommend it. But if you enjoyed this today, like I say, let us know who would be in your Expendabelles. What action stars do you want to see in these films? Heroes, villains, mentors, let us know. And if you like what we're doing, leave a review. Go on your podcast platform. Any numbers of stars, but just let us know what you think. Preferably 5 if you love us. And check out our Patreon. There'll be a link down below. And on our Patreon, we've got all kinds of things. We've got 30-minute thoughts, trekking through the Twilight Zone, Creator Corner, other bits and pieces all sat in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a fantastic pleasure talking to these wonderful people. And I shall see you again soon.